So I'm grateful for all the amazing trainers that you guys get to experience.
Oh, thanks.
For
It's been
sure.
really cool, actually.
Yeah, what a
So,
cool concept, right? To just hear from all different leaders from all over, and you can take it over and over again if your market center is offering it.
right? Yeah, I do love that. I wish I'm like 5 months in. I wish that I would have been able to do this like right away. I think it would have been super powerful if it was like
Mm,
hey, you're gonna start Ignite next week. Like that would have been fantastic, but it's okay, better late than never.
absolutely. And you make a good point because you have a perspective that not everybody has. Some people are lucky to come in and then Ignite's just running, so they just naturally think that they just rolled right into the session. Others have to wait a little while, but the sweet sauce is that you take it over and over again until you really mastered the business. And then you've broken through the next level, then you take the next level class and you take that over and over again, and you are different every time you take it, and you hear something different, you implement something different.
That's so
So
true.
yeah, I mean, well, just a few minutes, but I've been here for 20 years,
Wow.
and I remember Ignite coming out in 2011. And I can't tell you how many times I've taught it, and I can't tell you how many times I've looked at the material and said, was that in there? That was in there.
I don't remember that. Yeah.
We have edited it. We have updated it, but it's still
That's
timeless.
fair. I went to a seminar day before yesterday with, or no, it was yesterday, Monday. Today's Tuesday. Okay, so yesterday, with Dan Ibarra from Hawaii, and
Yes.
yeah, and he kind of said something similar, but he was like, "I've taken bold like 13 times."
Yes. Bold is a 12 timer for me. Absolutely. You have to
Nice.
take bold when it comes around. All right. Good evening, guys. It is 9 a.m. It's 9 p.m. on my watch, 6 on yours. My name is Mary Beth Olive, and I'm excited to be here to share two sessions of Ignite with you. We are going to go through session 12 and session 13. And we're going to be going through relationships, strengthening relationships, and then talking about working with our buyers and sellers and qualifying them. I'm excited to be here. And as I was sharing with Amy, and I encourage you guys to go ahead and unmute or raise a hand, and then I can give a call because we have quite a few of us on. And if you are in a place where you could turn their camera on, I absolutely encourage you to do that. I myself am on a lot of Zooms, and I just know that when I have my camera on, I get more from the time that I invest in that session. And that's really important to me, is just making sure that my time is spent well. So I just encourage you to get the most out of every experience. And as we say, how you show up here is how you show up everywhere. Um, and so, once again, my name is Mary Beth Olive. I am a KWU instructor. I have been with Keller Williams for 20 years. I started right out of college. I went back into the restaurant business and then fell into a horrible car accident, which landed me in real estate. I'm blessed to be in real estate for the last 20 years. And I had a small team. I was an ALC member. But the last 15 years, I spent as a team leader leading offices, launching offices all over the tri state New York area, New Jersey, and New York. Uh, we have a team, we have an office here in Perth Amboy, New Jersey. And I will say that I am very familiar with my New York and New Jersey laws and real estate. I am not familiar with any other states that I would say, please make sure that you're asking your compliance broker or your team leader if something might not seem like, hey, could I do that in my area, my state, my city? And even into, as we talk in even New Jersey at times, even into your complex, like certain complexes may have a specific like rules or whatnot. So before we get started into the material for today, I'd love to hear, I've watched some sessions, previous sessions that you've been in. I'd love to hear some ahas or some growth moments. If I can get a few people just to share what this class has done for you, what you've implemented or what you've learned, or maybe even just a question that it's brought to you so that you're going to like dive into that. Who'd like to share? Just a couple. Come on. Well, and I can share on this side here, we are still dealing with a very low inventory in our pocket of New Jersey, pretty much all over New Jersey, but I'm in central New Jersey. And so that inventory challenge comes into play when we're talking to our buyers and sellers. And so that's been something that we've been like leading our database with those types of conversations, just answering questions, and it's leading us to appointments. So that's been a great strategy. So share maybe one thing that you've learned over the last weekend. I know we had class last week. Anybody want to share? Josh,
Yesterday, I'll use one. Yesterday,
thanks,
I had a
Josh.
meeting with a client and really emphasized the Ford with talking with them, and it ended up maybe being 15 minutes actually talking about the house and the showing, and the rest was just getting to know each other. And I now have a
That
new client out of it.
that is awesome. And can you just share with us what does Ford stand for those of us that might not remember?
Family, occupation, recreation, and was it dreams
Yep.
or desires? I guess whatever,
Yeah, dreams and
however you want to
desires.
label it.
That's right. And so great job with that, because I will tell you that that is what the business is all about. It's just connecting with people authentically, connecting with them where they are, and just having them talk about themselves, right? Nicole, did you want to share?
Yes, one of my ahas is that once you close a transaction, the client actually goes back to being a lead. And, you need to still follow up with them, like happy birthday, happy first anniversary, things like that.
That's right. That's right, because they're going to cycle, right? And the goal is not just to sell them on one transaction. It's to be their realtor for life. It's to be a resource for their new community that they moved into, or for friends and family that might still be left behind in a place that you just sold their home. There's so much opportunity in repeat referral business. And in the 20 years that I've been in the business, I can tell you that most successful businesses that you see on stage, on YouTube channels, in our reports, in your market centers, are referral repeat business, because they've built a database. They got great with servicing the database. And as we dive into today's material, it is all about keeping those relationships with your database, as well as servicing qualifying buyers and sellers, and just even putting it in the mind of people. Buying and selling is possible. It's possible now. And putting them on a plan so that when they are actually ready, willing, and able, they choose you. So thanks, guys, for sharing. Is there anybody else who wanted to share before we kind of open it up to the material? Dan, go ahead. I see your hand up.
Yeah, just to follow up with that, I was also pretty impressed with how the command has so many automated
Mm.
features to be able to follow up on like those birthdays and anniversaries. And I just think that's pretty cool because it makes our job easier and just to be able to focus on the other things too.
Yeah, great point. Glad you commented on the ability to use command as leverage. I'm going to be sharing a few things with you. If you guys are okay with it, I'm going to even share some websites that I use. I want to share a little bit inside of a book, a page. I want to inspire you. But before we get into that, if you could just put in the chat how many months you've been in the business, or how many years you've been in the business. I'd just like to gauge what kind of experience are we dealing with here. And also, if you wouldn't mind changing your name to put the state that you're in, or your team name, just something where we could also look at some referrals that might go on inside of this room. Right. And I can remember when I was only 1 month or 2 months since January. It's awesome. Josh, just knowing that you got into this in 2024, just that mindset alone, when it gets a little easier, it's gonna just, you're gonna have your business set up in a market that's very challenging. So your business is just gonna thrive. With this 5 months, 2 months, 9 months. So a lot of people less than a year, and I see Arizona. So this is a classroom, and I want you to take this. One of the best pieces of advice I can give you inside of this, the most amazing real estate network that we have in our industry, which is Keller Williams, is the network of people and the ability to say, hey, I know Dan, he's from Scottsdale, Arizona. I have a partner in Scottsdale, Arizona now. right? So the ability to pick up and say that you have a partner in Portugal or Aruba. My husband and I have a home in Aruba, and we purchased through our Aruba KW family. So the ability of the network is also going to be useful inside of building our relationships and servicing our buyers and sellers. So San Diego, 3 months. Okay. So you want to make sure you guys get to know each other. And maybe there's a roster that we could share that, and I'll talk to Alana about that. So let's just dive in and go and share. Now, a few things are the one thing site. I want to make sure that you have the right tools in your toolbox. I know we've had a lot of sessions before this, and you have more sessions to go. But knowing that you have the one thing website here, which has amazing tools, has an online portal that you can subscribe to, is a great tool for us to stay prioritized. And the kellerinc.com site is where a lot of our models, and you'll see a lot of the material is coming straight from our MREA, which is the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. That is the red book. If you don't have it, I highly encourage you getting it. And then you'll see here, you can buy it right from our site. And you also have the resources that go along with it. And you see the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, and there are printouts for different, pages inside here. And the reason why I bring this up is because all of our models lead back to the 4 models that you find in the MREA, and the 5th, which is expansion. And if you're not familiar with our models, it will be hard for you to follow some of the curriculum, right? So mastering the models is one of the things that I would tell a newer agent in the business, less than a year, and regardless of what brand, to master the sorry about that. Let's see here. Master the 4 models. Now, this is my book, right, where it's all tabbed, and we've been using it a lot, and it's been consulting agents. And so we want to use that MREA book almost as a manual. And we're going to stay inside the slides here for a little bit. I don't know if you have your student manual. You want to pop that out or put that on your phone. And I also want to encourage you prior to this is that all of your KW materials can be found inside of KW Connect. So if you go into your command, your agent.kw.com, and you click over in Connect, you will find that that is your learning center. And if you just type up in here, Ignite will come up, and you'll be able to download your student manual. You'll also be able to download the PowerPoints. Maybe there's a toolkit along with some of the other curriculum that you want to print out. And so just want to also point that out. And while I have this open, the YouTube channels, there is a command YouTube channel. And Donnie is fantastic. So if you have any questions about command, I love that Dan mentions command. Command is an answer for all things. And there are videos for everything. So just saw Donnie in New York City last week. And he's just fantastic and easy to understand, easy to implement. Once again, KW has a YouTube channel, and there you will find, I love this right here, some shorts, interviews that Gary Keller and Jason Abrams interviewing some of our top agents, top leaders. And you can find, like, this is a weird word, but a plethora of videos here inside of our KW YouTube channel. So let's dive into the material. Sorry, that was a little bit long, but I hope that was useful for you guys. And okay. So if you have a question, or if you want, just raise your hand. It will pop up in my screen. I'll be able to see you. You can unmute, and please ask while we're going through the material. No question is a dumb question. If you have that question, somebody else probably has the question. Okay. So it looks like you are on your 3rd pillar, right? You've gone through the first, which is really understanding what the job of a real estate agent is. The second is your lead generation tactics, all the different levers that you should be using. And remember, you only want to be 2 or 3 levers, right? Maybe 2 tactics can get you a fantastic business. 3, when you start getting 4 or 5 different ways of getting business, and you're focusing on them, your focus starts to dissipate. So, and then you have your lead follow-up pillar, which is where we're at. You went through keep every lead, follow up with every lead, and we're going to cover strengthening relationships and qualifying potential sellers and buyers. Okay. The last piece is about transactions, and that is very state specific on paperwork and even timeline, right? Difference between New York and New Jersey. When do you do the inspection? Different. Before or after we're in contract, different in each state. So we definitely want to make sure that we have some broker compliance, questioning after you come off of a multi-state type of training. And okay, and so this one is going to be a little more in depth because we're going to be talking about our people conversations, establishing the mindset, and then identifying the goals, devising a plan, and then we're going to go with the ahas and roll into chapter 13. So can somebody unmute and go ahead and read that? It's a Gary Keller quote. All right, I threw that one on you. But the next one, somebody's unmuting and reading it. So it says, know that growth comes from clarity, priorities, and focused action. And honestly, that is the simple truth. There's a lot of stuff that you might think, oh, I got to go here. I got to do this. I got to buy this. I got to get this app. I got to get this sign. No, when you can slow down and get clarity and you understand what one thing must happen so that you can move the needle, and then you focus and you take action, that's where growth comes. And don't fool yourself, but growth is absolutely on the other side of comfort. Okay. You're in your comfort zone, you are not growing. The minute you got those little things in your stomach going, understand that greatness is on the other side of that. Okay. And so we're talking about leads versus contacts probably the entire time. Leads versus contacts. We should know this by now. A lead is hey, Nicole, here's my sister, Therese. Give her a call. Now Nicole and Therese are talking. They're communicating. She's able to ask Therese some questions. Now it's a contact. It was a lead. It turned into a contact. So the whole goal is that we have a funnel of leads going into your database, and those leads eventually become contacts. And when they're contacts, then we're able to know what they want, know what a benefit is to them, and then service the leads and contacts so that they want to do business with you. And then hopefully you've done such a great job that they are referring you and you have a built-in business just in all of those closed transactions. And if you look at this on the left-hand side, you'll see that lead generation is broken down into those three sections, right? We have lead generation, then you have relationship management, and then you have client and referral loop. So the relationship management is where we are. You've lead generated, you have the names of the people, you went out, you met them, you have their business card, you're in a networking group with them, you met them at an open house, all the different ways. Now you get to know them, and now you're going to strengthen that relationship management. And most people don't understand that's where agents succeed. If you're good at that, they'll keep coming back. It's that, oh, I got the leads. They're not going out with me. I'm not making appointments. I don't know why I don't have appointments out of all these leads that I have. Well, maybe slow down. Maybe don't take so many leads. Maybe go deeper, make those contacts, really get to know those contacts so that you can really give them value. And so leads versus contacts, right? One way versus two way, and focus on building relationships and taking market share. Focus on building relationships. I would say the taking market share is the name of the game, but the relationships is what gets that. Okay. So first we're going to start with the mindset, right? Today's conversation, tomorrow's transaction. It's funny that there's some, the flowering pot here, because how many of us go outside and take care of our house, walk our dog, take the garbage out, water the flowers, right? We're just in our neighborhood. We're just doing our life thing. And can I tell you that is where so many leads are? Just you going and doing your thing. Like, I am a big church girl. My husband is the drummer on the worship team. My father-in-law is the assistant pastor. My mother-in-law does we're all involved, right? I show up there authentically me. They know who I am. They also know what I do because I remind them. I've gotten the mind share, but they got to know who I am. And that's where the business comes from. Watering the flowers. I met a guy out there yesterday. Stopped by. Oh, is any of these houses selling? I said, I thought maybe he didn't know I was a realtor, but then there was a real estate sign, and it all came together. So get out there and do things that you enjoy, and you show up as you, authentically you, and the people that you are going to attract to your business are going to just come to you. Okay. So today's conversations, you can't also be, well, it wasn't an appointment. Oh, well, they didn't need to list a house, or they're not buying a house. It doesn't matter. It was a contact. You put it in the database. It's going to be a later on. It's going to be a later on. So, somebody going to be bold enough to go ahead and read this one? Who's my boldness today? First voice.
Do you want me to read it?
All right. Who is it?
Amy.
Go for it, Amy.
Once you meet your new contacts, you either do business with them immediately or you don't. Either way, once you've met them, you put them in your database and stay in touch with them forever.
That's right. That's the name of the game. And what happens is we think that they have to turn into an appointment. It's going to be, and it used to be, about 40 to 50 conversations before you had a transaction, right? So 40 to 50 conversations would equal one transaction. That was back in the day. Now, with the market the way it is, with the inventory, with the rates, with the competition, because there's a lot more agents today than there was 20 years ago, it's more like 80 conversations to one closing, 80 to 100 conversations. So if you just measure your two-way conversations and you just focus on that, because that's all you got right now, you don't have past business. You don't have all these accolades of last year's sales. According to our chat, we had a lot of people under a year, right? So, all right. You have to focus on how many people am I talking to? Am I getting out there, and am I diversifying my network as well? So identifying the goals. Lead generation to lead follow-up equals transaction. Lead generation is almost the easier part of this whole thing. The transaction is easy, not easy, but the challenging part is the lead follow-up. Did you call them when you were supposed to call them? Did you put them on a plan like you were supposed to put them on? Are you sending them items of value? Did you earn the mind share so that you can have lead conversion? Ask them for the appointment. So one is convert the contacts to closed business. That is the goal. When you're looking at people, or you're looking at opportunities and you're working towards lead generation, the goal is, am I going in the direction where there's possible closed business there? Now, if you're going after a farm that doesn't have a lot of closed units in the area, maybe that's not going to get you what you're actually going for. So you have to kind of re-strategize. And so identifying the goals is converting the contacts to the closed business, and identify the goals, convert the leads and the contacts to closed business, and stay top of mind. Now, if you take a look at the right side, talks about real estate mind share positioning. In the mind of the seller, they're only looking at one agent. 74% of them are looking at one agent. So we're psyching ourselves out thinking we have all this competition, when if you just knock on the door, if you just made the call, if you just sent the mailers to the absentee owners because their grass is high, or they have tenants and they live across the country, and they talk to you, 74% of them are only going to talk to one of you. And on the buyer side, 75% of them are only going to talk to one of you. So if you put yourself in the way, if you go to open houses, and if you market listings, because remember, when you're marketing listings, you're not actually looking for listing leads, you're attracting buyers. Why? Because buyers want listings. Sellers want to know who you are. Sellers want to know what the stats are. Sellers want money. They want to net the most in their pocket. Buyers want a house, and they want to get the house. In this market, in my area, they just want any house, and if you can get it for them, they'll take you. Just a very low inventory. And you know what the best part about that is? And I will tell you, if you are in a market with low inventory, please raise your hands. Go ahead and raise your hand if you know that you're in a market with low inventory. And if you don't know, I will encourage you to get into your local MLS and do the statistics. Thank you, Amy and Nicole. Yep, Vernice, absolutely. We are in a low inventory. You know what that means? We got to go listing shopping, Christina. Go listing shopping. If not you, then who? Somebody's going to go take those listings. I study our market every Monday. I go live on my Zoom and talk about the numbers. And you know what I find? There's still almost 1,000 listings every single week. And my question to the agents is, did you get one? Because all you needed was one to hit your goal, or one, one a month, but one a week. Wow, right? So let's put things in perspective. Let's also let's remove those limiting beliefs. In the earlier sessions, I know you heard about removing those limiting beliefs. It's one of our 6 personal perspectives. And you really need to remove those limiting beliefs. Do not look left or right. Just look forward. Just look forward. Because, look, Josh and Dan, they're in a different race. Josh is in Scottsdale, Arizona. Dan is, I don't know where Josh is. He's in Wisconsin, right? They're running 2 different races. But if they start paying attention to each other, they're going to trip themselves up, right? So as a new agent in the business, I want you to really also, have clarity on who you are and what you want out of the business. Your race might not look like the person next to you or the person that sat with you at orientation. So remaining top of mind is the other goal when you are relating and strengthening the relationships. Leverage your mind share for referral business. Because do you remember what the tenure of somebody being in the home is? Do you remember the life cycle of a client? Anybody want to shout out, unmute, and just shout out or put it in the chat? How many years somebody stays in a home? Like, what's the cycle?
7.
7, right? 7 years. So in 7 years, they're going to need a house. So does that mean you don't talk to them for 7 years? Does that mean, are you going to catch them on year 7? What if they do it in 4? What if something happens, right? What could happen? Anything could happen. They could hit the lottery and they could have a bonus. They could lose a job. They could have a divorce. They could get married. There could be a death. There could be a sickness. All this stuff could happen that could mess up the 7 year. But even if they stay at the 7 year, how many people do you think they know? Right? So it's not only about them. It's about how are you treating them when they go into your database before, during, and after they're doing transactions with you. And here's what I would also tell you as newer agents, don't take on more than you can handle. If you say that's overwhelming, I can't put 500 people in the database. How would I talk? Then just put 200. The sweet number is, I think, 201, right? 201 people in your database is going to get you a 6-figure business. It's looked at through our system. I would tell you, it probably would get you more. In some markets, in my market, it would probably get us about a $300,000 business. 200 people in the database worked properly through the lead generation model and the economic model. And I encourage you to go back to your market centers, even if you're a dual career and this is a nighttime thing for you, ask to meet with one of your coaches or a productivity coach and get your economic model done and do your lead generation model and know how many people you need to be talking to, how many deals you're going after to make the money that you want to make. And then have an actual plan so that when we are talking about strengthening those relationships, you're not overwhelmed and taking on more relationships than you need to, right? If you work it properly, even 120 people in your database will yield you a very nice, fruitful business. So the third one is leverage the mind share for referral business. Also, I want you guys to be thinking about this. Your residential clients, workplaces. They work in commercial spaces. Your residential friends that own businesses and buildings and multifamilies. And so when we are talking about real estate, we have to be very broad in that. What are your real estate goals for 24? You got any real estate goals? What are you thinking? What are your next 5-year real estate goals? Because you don't want to pigeon yourself into a hole of, oh, she only does residential. She only does townhouses. She only works in this area of New Jersey, right? Somebody was sharing before they were with Dan. Was it Amy or Nicole? Dan does the real estate planner. So he does retirement type of seminars for people, and then he's got their attention, right? And now you're able to help family plan real estate before they actually pass, and their family has to plan where the real estate goes. That's a whole niche, right? So we want to leverage, and that's also a service you could be providing and locking up transactions prior to people even passing. I mean, gosh, brilliant. All right, so We're gonna go through devise a plan because I think we're gonna spend some time here. Now, how many of you, I'm gonna unshare for a second. How many of you by electronic hands, unmute, face, whatever, have 36 touch plan going, have smart plans rolling in your command? How many have smart plans rolling in command? It's okay if you don't, because it's really easy. And I promise you, if you just say, okay, thank you, Beth. If you say, Mary Beth, I'm going to do it by next Tuesday, I will have smart plans rolling, right? Just make a buy when. Put yourself on the smart plans first. Do it tonight. Get off here. Put yourself in the commands. Make yourself a contact. Put yourself on a neighborhood nurture. Does anybody know how many touches you get with a neighborhood nurture? All right, good job. Is it Tilly? Good job, Tilly. She's working on it this week. That means it should be done by Friday. Send it to your team leader. Okay. So wait, what was the question? Yes. What did I ask you guys? Oh, the neighborhood nurture. How many touches are you getting with the neighborhood nurture? Anybody want to take a guess? 5 touches?
This is Beth.
Hi, Beth.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Awesome. Yeah, so it's either 12 or 24 if you're using the packaged ones. You can do a
Mhm.
monthly, which is what I've got all my folks on as
Right.
I'm adding them to the database, or you could do biweekly. I think I'd use my biweekly when I've got a much warmer
Yep.
lead, somebody who's actually talking about transactions, but otherwise I've got my folks on a 30-day.
Thank you. So Beth is absolutely correct. You have the neighborhood nurture, which is 1 time a month, and then you have the bi-weekly, which goes out basically every other week, which would probably give them 26 touches. And so when we're going to talk about the touch plan now, that's essential. Right there, it's already done for you. So here, if you don't know what it is, you have to have the physical address that the person lives at in their contact and their email. You have those 2 things, you could set up that neighborhood nurture, and that neighborhood nurture would give them like basically a snapshot every month or every other week of their neighborhood. Now, some people would say, oh, well, it's not giving accurate information. It's not pulling the right neighborhoods. It's pulling from, I forget what app it's pulling from, Nextdoor, I think it's pulling from. So if it's a neighborhood in Nextdoor and you think it's wrong, you got to go talk to Nextdoor. But the thing is, it's not about the neighborhood. It's about the touch. It's about the fact that they might actually respond and say, hey, David, you know, I don't live in this neighborhood, right, David? And then David's like, oh man, I'm so sorry. You know what? I just thought that, you know what? I thought you said this street. Let me add this other neighborhood for you, because guess what? You could have 1,000,000 neighborhoods on their neighborhood snapshot. So just don't worry about it. Some of us are overthinking, like it's got to be so correct before we get that plan going. But the touch plan is how we're absolutely going to be staying in touch with people. And who they are matters. Who your audience is matters. So let's look a little bit at this touch plan. Design every touch to provide value. Now, what I'd love to do is I'd love to hear from you, a couple more of you, as we talk about this touch plan. What are some of the touches? Beth shared she's doing a 12 touch with her people that she maybe doesn't know as well. They haven't talked real estate. They don't have a need of real estate, but if they've expressed a need in real estate, maybe she's going to put them on the bi-weekly. So they're going to get 26 touches there. So if we look at this, the 19 to connect, 36 to convert. This is derived from our lead generation model. And just going back a little bit is with your MET database, the people that know you, the people that your friends, your family, the people you've worked with, the people at your religious organization, your volunteer organization, your gym, those people alone, if you put them into the database and you put them on a 36 touch, 19 to connect, 36 to convert, the book says, the real estate, manual says that for every 12 people in your database, you should see 2 pieces of business come from it, if you're communicating with them in the appropriate way, with the right amount of touches. So working backward, it's a 6-to-1 ratio. The 12-to-2 comes from 12 people, you get 2 transactions. One is, hey, I need to buy something, sell something, rent something. And the other one is, oh, my friend needs to, I'm going to refer you. So if we count on that, a 6-to-1 ratio, if you are sitting in this room and you have a 20-unit goal for the year, 20-unit goal, and you're going to do it all with people that you know, how many people would you actually need in your database? If it's a 6-to-1 ratio, 12-to-2, how many people would you need in your database? Somebody put it in the chat or yell it out if you wanted to do 20 transactions.
200.
20 transactions times 6. Go for it again. 120, right? I knew it. You were so right. 120. So 120 people. And I would probably go the 201, bump it up, because some of those people, the email didn't work. They're not paying attention. Their sister's a realtor, blah, 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 whatever. Okay, you're going to weed them out. So go to the 201, but understand the model says you only need 120 people in there, communicating with them in the appropriate way, committed to communicate with them. And you should be doing 20 transactions a year. Now, in a market like now, you are going to have to touch more. You're going to have to talk more. You're going to have to show up more. So I want to talk, and I want you guys to share, and I'll give you some my good stuff, but I want you to share with me 4 touches quarterly phone calls. What could those calls be about? 2 touches promotional, direct mail, magnet, calendar. Tell me what you would send. An annual event, a party, what would you do? So I want to hear it from you guys. What we got to put together a 36 touch that is specific to you. What kind of stuff gets put on that? What kind of event could we have?
Barbecue.
A barbecue. Could you have barbecue in your backyard? Yes. Could you have a barbecue at the community center? Could you just be part of a community barbecue that's happening and you're going to sponsor the burgers? Show up with your shirt. KW asked me about real estate. Maybe it's a QR code. I don't know. You put it on your Facebook. I'm raising money for, this is what I do. If you follow me on Facebook, you will see what I do. So we have a Selfless Saturday, the last Saturday of the month, asking for business owners, come on down. People cutting hair for free. We feed our community. So yes, you could have a barbecue. And the community will love it. You could also have a private, intimate, like, I don't want to have 1 million people. So invite 8 people to your backyard and have a private barbecue and tell them that they're a VIP client for the spring, for the summer, for the winter, whatever. Right? You could have, what's another event? I want 2 more different types of events.
Farmers market.
A farmer's market. So you would go and set up at the farmer's market?
Yes.
Okay. That's a whole group of people, right? That's a whole, there's so many opportunities there to support local businesses. Even if you as the realtor are there as a farmer's market, that you're able to promote these businesses. A lot of people that have small businesses, they don't know how to promote the business. As realtors, we're taught how to market. We have an audience. Everybody wants to watch our Facebook, wants to watch our Instagram, our TikTok, right? Snapchat. So use it for other business owners at the farmer's market, connect with them, promote their business, they promote yours. I had a guy, one of my coaches, cigar night. He invited 8 of his top clients to a cigar night at a cigar house. He doesn't have to do anything. He just has to pay for it, right? What's another type of an event? Come on, think.
Community gardens.
What'd you say, Nicole?
I said have an adult only event where they can leave their kids at home and like have drinks and things like that.
Sure, right? A night out, girls' night out. Katie, I want to hear what you have to say. But there was a woman on stage, I think like last mega camp or the mega camp before. And if you don't know what mega camp, I also had another page up, events.kw.com, all of our events. You got to go to mega camp. You got to go to family reunion, put it in the budget. But she sat up there and her whole business is ladies' night out. Every single month she goes, and she has a high net worth clientele, luxury clients, but every single month she does ladies' night out. Men, you're invited, but it's ladies' night out, and it's at a specific restaurant or bar. Every place is different. She wants to promote a local business, and she picks a charity every time. They are there. They bring their following, and a piece of it they get to donate to do a 50-50 or something. She has all different tricky trays and whatnot. That is her marketing plan. Girls' night out every single month. Right. So Nicole, giving mom a night out without any kids is really a fantastic thing. And you don't have to do it every month. You could do it twice a year, and it could be a big thing. Katie, what did you have? What did you have in mind?
Well, I've already brought this up a couple of times during the night, but community gardens.
Absolutely, community gardens. If you could create one, one of my houses we have was a woman's home, and we have a garden in the backyard. And so one of the churches, they garden it. Um, it has become a thing where we get promotion all the time because they're in the back of the house, they're doing the garden. Thank you so much. So yes, you're doing it for a good cause, but be the leader who brings it to fruition. Like, get involved. Tilly, what about you?
I'm on a team, so we're doing like a family event where there's an opportunity for people to bring their children because a lot of times there's not a lot of those opportunities. But I had a
Mhm.
question around, you said that you do like a monthly event. Does that not feel overkill to do something every month? Because I'm a project manager, so it takes a couple of weeks to like plan something, right? So how
Yeah.
does that work for you?
Yeah, so that's a really great question. This has been a lot of years that we've been serving the community, and we also have we have a men's home. So we partner with our men's home, and our men's home does a lot of the cooking, and we have some commercial kitchens. So, and I'm not afraid to cook 25 hams in a night because they cook pretty fast if you have convection ovens. So we just have some really solid volunteers that have been over the years, we've been able to grow into something that, yes, once a month is a lot of work on us, but it's kind of at this point a system. And I hope that that is a little bit of an example in your business. It will become a system. Everything should become a system so that it can grow. Because Tilly's right. For us to have that once a month where we're feeding about, I would say we provide about 500 meals, and we give away items, and different businesses donate like every month. So yes, but you have to kind of create that following and trust and rapport. And with building relationships and strengthening relationships, going back to our session, is showing up and helping and coming from contribution. And as a Keller Williams agent, you're going to hear this a lot: come from contribution. If you come from contribution, it will always come back to you. So I'm really an example of that. Even my office is in a city that I did not build my business, but it's here because it's where we do our community work, and now everything is happening here. I even met my husband here, my beautiful husband. So, Shaquita?
Yes. Question about utilizing like the city community events. How would
Yes,
you do that? Because I'm wondering if that should be a start if I'm trying to
yes,
save money.
yep.
Um, how would you like advertise it or put it together for others that you want to come to that event?
That's a great question, and we do a lot of that. So our city has a lot of runs, has a lot of festivals, has a lot of ethnicities. So like, there's just so many things to get involved with. And I will tell you, every organization that we've been able to help, they just love that. Listen, Shaquita Roan, she's gonna promote. She's gonna promote in her own center, her own. So now you got all these real estate agents that you'll be able to promote. You have a database that you'll be able to promote. And so what I find is that they welcome it as long as you're going to be a solid volunteer. Don't just say, yeah, I'll show up. And then, you know, like I said, how you show up here is how you show up everywhere. So if you're going to do it, don't take on too many things where you can't really show up as your best self there. And then they'll welcome it. And what I've been able to do, I mean, you probably kind of got my personality by now, but I've been I've been able to lead a bunch of stuff inside of our city, which is gotten me. Our church got an amazing synagogue, huge building. We have a lot of volunteers that come in from outside of the area and give big donations. So I mean, you're able to do amazing things if you just go and lead. Go find a charity that absolutely means something to you. There's a passion behind it. If you like kids, there's tons of kids, teenagers, older people. That's another section of our society that really needs needs volunteers. You know, and if you have a heart, honestly, if you have a heart for like prison and recovery, there's a big need there as well. So you'd be amazing. The things that you will learn inside of Keller Williams, the classes you will take, and if you haven't taken Quantum Leap, put that on your box of things to take Quantum Leap. The things, the person you will become inside of the environment. I was not this person 20 years ago. Right? I really was not. I was not the same person. So I'm grateful for that, the experience and the friendships. Oh my gosh, amazing things. So let's dive back into material before you have Mary Beth crying. So in the 36 to convert, 4 touches should be phone calls, right? If you put them on a quarterly plan, which is also found inside of Command, to remind you, hey, you got to call Susie and John and Mary. And well, I'm sure there's a tech class on that, or go to the Command YouTube. There's 4 touches right there. Could you imagine somebody in your database called you 4 times a year? Just checking in, how you doing? How are the kids? Could you imagine that you heard their voice 4 times a year? I believe that they would have some mind share. You would call them important. And I want you to think about it. When was the last time you talked to your favorite aunt or your favorite cousin on the phone? Now you might have saw them at an event or a funeral, right? That's common. But when did you pick up the phone and call them, right? So this business, we are forced to do that, but it's really a very healthy thing to connect back with our human relationships. How are you doing? How are the kids? I see on Facebook, I see on Instagram, Johnny just graduated college. There's so much to talk about. But if you were to have those events that we just talked about, could you not just call them to tell them, hey, Katie, did you get my invite to the farmer's market that's happening Saturday? I would really love for you to be there. We have this and that and da-da-da-da. What an easy call. And then you call about the community run because we're raising $5,000 for kids with cancer. And before you know it, those are your 4 touches calling around events that you're having. 1 annual touch. Could you not have a pie day? I know that most offices do have a pie day around Thanksgiving. And why I say that is because we are in America. You do have to be careful with different holidays and whatnot. And Thanksgiving is just something that we all recognize while we're here. And you could have a nice pie day. There's whip up some whipped cream. If you whip up a referral, I'll get you a thing of whipped cream to go along with your pie, and you can have fun with that. You can also partner it with a food drive. Right? Partnering food drive with the Thanksgiving, or even doing a food drive when it's not common in the summer. Right? In the summer, find a local food pantry and be that person that is collecting food. Drop off some paper bags in your farm area, in your neighbors, drop off 25 bags, tell them you're picking it up on this day, or hey, drop it off at my porch on this day, or go to my office and drop it off. Right? So there's all these different ways for us to be servicing and building relationships with our people, with our database. Anybody have some ahas here on your 19 to connect and 36 to convert? And one other thing I want to say with the 12 touches, let's talk about monthly mailers. Let's talk about if you were to do 12 touches direct mail. You know, Command does have postcards set up, and you also have other services that you can use that can automatically send postcards, like AM cards or send out cards, or different services. Maybe your office has a marketing team that they've teamed up with, right? And so while I don't have a visual of this, I want to share that my sphere has always been on a very simple 12 direct, and it's quarterly. Quarterly, they have a market report postcard. Quarterly, they have a what's your home worth in today's market postcard. And quarterly, they have some seasonal postcard. So in January, the year in review goes out. In April, the Q1 goes out. And so it is a system, and everybody's used. So there's your 12 touches in the mailbox. Then you add them to Beth's 26 emails. Now I got 12 plus 26. That's 38. We're well above 36 touches. Now we put the 4 phone calls, a birthday party, a pie day, and they're sick of you, right? No, now you've gained the mind share, and hopefully not hopefully, intentfully, they will choose you when they need real estate. Okay. And that's the goal, is that you get into the positioning of them choosing you when they need real estate, because they're not going to need real estate the whole time. They're not going to need real estate, but for every 7 years. So then you're looking going, well, what am I going to do with these people all those other years? You're going to service their needs. You're going to see, what do they need? What resources do you have that they could be using? So this right here, in crafting your message, using your 6 connecting questions. Right? So the 6 connecting questions are inside of your manual. If you have your manual, let me just pull up the manual. And it's really, who are they? What do they do? You know, where do they work? You know, why do they need to do that? Let me just pull this up for you guys. And so here is your manual. Just going into this here, your 6 connecting questions, right? So who are they? What do they want or need to do? Where do they want or need to do it? Why do they want or need to do it? When do they want to need it? How do they plan on doing it? Right? Asking these questions so that you understand what their goal is. Now, I will tell you, a lot of people will give you surface answers, right? So they give you surface answers and you really don't know how to help them. And you take their surface answers and you run with it. Don't do that. Get really good at asking questions. Get really good at eye contact. Get really good at mirror and matching. Like, David's sitting back. If we're talking, I'm going to be sitting back. Nicole's sitting up here. I'm going to be sitting up here. I mean, really, right? Because I want to connect. I want to make sure I'm feeling the vibe. You're feeling the vibe. Okay. Now, if I see David come in, ooh, maybe I sparked his interest. So we have to read people. We have to connect with people. We have to meet them where they are. They're going to give you blanket answers. Well, where do you want to be? I got to go to South Carolina with my kids. When you got to be there? It doesn't matter. I mean, we can go this year, we go next year. He's giving you surface answers. The question is, Mr. Smith, what happens if you don't get there by next spring? What happens? And then the wife is like, well, no, that's too late. We need to be there before it, and all starts coming out, right? Because you have to know, is it pain? Is it pleasure? What are they running away from? What are they running towards? And I just taught a class this morning, an investment class with my partner. And he, you know, it's the same thing. One investor is not the next investor. I'm 46 years old. I am not at the same level of a 23-year-old who wants to get into the game. They could do much riskier things and get much wealthier faster than me right now, right? But I want cash flow. Maybe you have people that have money that want to create dividends. You have people that own buildings that have built big asset now, big equity. They didn't have it when they bought it, but now, oh my gosh, the building's worth $2 million. I bought it for 120,000. What are we going to do with that guy? We got to teach him how to actually. So everybody's got a different reason. They're moving, they're selling, they're buying, they want to do this, they might want to do that. And I find that, you know, when you're at the barbecue and you're at church and you're at a friend's birthday, by just asking some questions to people. I was at Josh before about Ford. Excuse me. You can really get people dreaming. And sometimes they go, you know, that can't happen for like, I don't know, 5 years, 10 years. And you're like, what? I could sell your house right now for 800,000, and you could buy your dream home in Florida right now for 700, and then we can get it done. Do you want to do that? And they're like, wait, really? Like, or somebody's, you know, going through a tough time and you're like, listen, I can get you out of that. There's programs, there's products, we can, right? So if you could ask those questions and really not be afraid of what the answer is, because you might not have the answer. When they give you their answer, you might have to go, wow, you know what? I'd love to bring this back to my colleagues, because I have a mastermind that I meet with. I have this great night class. I'd love to bring it back to, I have like 35 people from like all over the country, see what they think. give you a couple options, right? Like nothing bad can come of it. So going back, I'm going to dive back in here. Who are they? What age are they? Where are they at in life? What do they want to need? What do they want to or need to do? Really understanding it. And here's what I would say. Well, you know, Katie, if we got you 500 for the house, you know, would you then sell the house? And she's like, well, not really. I actually would have to wait for my sister to sell hers too. Okay, well, you and your sister both sell now. Are you going? Well, you know, it would be better if the kids are out of school. Okay, so now when are the kids out of school? Right. So now we're identifying, isolating the objection, figuring out what Katie really needs, and then we could design a plan. So why do you want to do that? Maybe they have a misconception of why they need to sell or downsize now, or and then how do they plan on doing it? Do you know how many people, you know, if you ask, oh yeah, they're trying to get your information, and you ask them, well, how do you plan on selling the house? Oh, we're gonna try selling it on our own, or oh, our niece is gonna list it, and you're sitting here, you know, giving them all of your information, and all of a sudden you find out, and better to find out in the exploratory time than when you're on a listing appointment and you've actually done the CMA work, right? So make sure you get good at asking those 6 questions, and then being able to develop a MOFR. Now, has anybody on here talked about a MOFR? Do you know what a MOFR is? Anybody raise of hand? MOFR? No. Sounds kind of funny, right? It's a message for immediate response. Message for immediate response. You're going to put out a message, a marketing for immediate. I forget how we say it, but it's for an immediate response. So, like, this is an awesome house that just came on the market. If you're looking for a home in this neighborhood, call me right away. Call to action. Hey, here's a house. Call me if you want a house like this. Interest rates are the lowest ever. If you're considering buying, contact us. We have lenders that work with it. So you're giving them a little carrot, dangling that carrot, and then asking for an immediate response. Not just like, hey, here's a house, we're doing an open house. You know, hey, interest rates are 5%. No. It's when you are on social media and you see that, you know, click now, buy now, you want the free report, click here. That's the immediate response. It's the call to action. And I'm going to share with you my first broker. She was a mailer, that 12 touch that came from her 20 years ago. It still works. It's timeless. But oh gosh, what was I saying? Hold on. With always have a call to action, even on your marketing pieces, because even if you're just talking about this new listing just sold, on the bottom, contact an agent who's getting results. Contact me if you want to know what your home is worth. You know, here's the email, scan here. Always have a call to action on all marketing pieces. I would encourage you even to have that on your business card and in your signature, the call to action. Click here if you'd like to have a CMA. Click here, and don't use CMA because they don't know what that means. A comparative market analysis, an equity analysis. If you guys have not learned about equity analysis, I encourage you to use that language instead of a CMA or market analysis. You know, hey, Nicole, I see that you bought your home about 10 years ago. I'd love to offer you an equity analysis. Would you be interested in one? Well, why would Nicole want an equity analysis? Well, because she's been living in her house for 10 years. She needs to do the roof or the windows. And basically, she's gained about $200,000 in equity. So maybe she wants to tap the HELOC. Maybe she wants to get a little line of credit. Maybe Nicole goes, you know what? This is my solution for buying the next house because I could take the HELOC, get the down payment out of this house, and go and secure a new loan. Or maybe she's got a kid in college and she's going to clean up some debt with it. Or maybe it's just nice to know that if she sells it today, she can take that 200,000 and move on. So the equity analysis letter is also a really good strategy. And that would be a message for immediate response, right? I'm going to say, if you're interested in knowing the equity of your home, because here's the things that you could do with it, click here and we'll give that to you complimentary. So once you know what your audience is, then you should be able to identify what their MOFRs need to be. And I want you to be careful with that, because you're sending out mofers to an audience that doesn't really need to know what their home is worth because they just bought it 2 years ago, or they just bought this year. So that's not something that they need. Now, tell me, what do you think somebody who bought their home 1 year ago, what would be items of value that you could get their mind share? What might they need? So 1 year in the home, right? They're settled. Now maybe they're gonna, who wanted to talk? Somebody wanted to unmute? Go
Oh,
ahead, Amy.
I was thinking 1 to 2, well, kind of like 2 years equity you could take equity to use improvements or to create improvements to increase value or
Yep.
potentially other properties.
Yep. So absolutely. And you know, what I would say is the message that you're putting out there has to match your audience, right? So you just want to be clear, and this is what I see from a lot of agents, that they don't know what their audience is. They're not sure, so they're trying all different things, and nothing is landing, because guess what? The analytics of all of the social media is taking the specific messages and putting them in specific places. So if you're all over the place, you're not going to be seen over and over and over again, which is the repetition that you need to gain the mind share. Okay, so when we think about our message that we're going to be putting out there for the immediate response and the items of value that we're going to be giving, I would just share with you, have them ready. Don't put the offer out and then not know what you're going to give. Develop the piece, go find the piece, then get real confident and start messaging out that offer all over the place, whether it's in text message, phone call, email, posting on social media, DMing. I am finding that DMing, especially your contacts, and if you do not have your contacts on your social media, that should be another thing that you should do. By when? Within the next 30 days, you need to get your contact list and your social media list looking the same, so that you can DM people, you can message them. And I am finding that I'm connecting way easier with people by DMing them. For some reason, the text messages are getting lost. Okay. So you're encouraged again to develop your 36 touch and goal setting. And this is where what I said is, how many units are you going for, right? We need to know that, so that you can decide on how many people are going to be inside of this plan and how often are you going to touch them. So I encourage you to, because this is kind of a fast track of the session, I encourage you to go ahead and slow down enough to build out your 36 touch. Because if you don't, and you don't put those people in the database, you're going to be kicking yourself. You're going to be having a one-off business. They're going to buy from you, and then you're never going to see business come from that family ever again. So please learn from the mistakes that we've made before. All right. So any questions on the 36 touch, the 19 to connect? Something else that, while you come up with the questions, something else you can put people on is an automated search in your multiple listings system. If they've expressed that, hey, what, we're going to sell in like 5 years or so, maybe just put them on, like, for their neighborhood alone in the multiple listing system, put them on a saved search. You are able to do saved searches in your command. If you open up the contact on the right-hand side, you'll see saved searches next to timeline, and you can save the search. What I like about it is, as you know, I'm from New Jersey. I'm not in Minnesota, but if my cousin wanted to move to Minnesota, I could set them up on a saved search and choose that Minnesota neighborhood, and it will come from me. Now, then I need to find the Minnesota agent, and I need to make sure that David knows who my cousin is, because if they need to buy something, right, I already have my partner in Minnesota. Okay. So you can also add in there, you got the phone call. You can also add text messages. You can also add, how about, and I know, like, the Facebook thing, I'm aging myself, I understand that. However, on Facebook, every single morning whose birthday it is. I have a Cutco girl, which is the knife girl. She sells knives, and you'll see them at the Bolds. If you haven't gone, you'll see it's CUTCO, best knives out there. And she sends me a video message every birthday. So not only do I get a personal DM from Lindsay, I also go, hey girl, happy birthday, you rock. Now, she could be sending that, hey girl, happy birthday, you rock, to 5 other girls that morning also. And one year she actually said, hey, Mary Beth, happy birthday. So I knew she was doing it to me. But you don't think that this girl had a nice big smile on her face when somebody was wishing me happy birthday in the morning on video? Once a year, I laugh, I smile, I text her back. Just that alone is one touch for every single person in your database. They have a birthday. If they're on your social media, that's your first thing in the morning. Go to social media and say happy birthday. How hard is that? Nothing about real estate. If you got their cell phone, text them. Right? And don't overthink it. Send the same picture and the same message to everybody. Don't start going personalizing everything. Then it gets a little crazy. All right. No, personalize things if you have the time, but if you're trying to systemize it, you don't have to. And if you're using your Twilio system inside of commands, you could actually do it all with the push of a button if you've got them tagged properly. So crafting the message not only goes to your marketing inside of your 12 Direct, it also goes to how you speak on your social posts. It goes to how you sign off on your texts. It goes to what your email signature sounds like. You know, do you say regards? Do you say kindly? Do you say, you know, all of that matters. And I teach a bunch of different classes. And I urge you to say, like, does the talk match the walk? Because everybody's looking and you guys are new. And so some things you might not have been paying attention to last year. People are paying attention now. So you might have to, unfortunately, go through, hide a couple posts, take down some things, and make sure that, hey, if a seller or a buyer goes and looks for you, or if your favorite aunt who's raving about you at the country club and her best friend calls you and goes and looks for you, is she proud that that's what her realtor is doing on social media? So make sure your message, your offer for immediate response, your 6, make sure this is all matching. Because that's the other place I see people fail. It's not really you. Okay. So we are not going to be doing this. I'm encouraging you to go ahead and develop your 36 touch plan and goal setting to the now. Here's what I want you guys to think about. And I really would like for you to share. I would like at least 1 or 2 shares, and you could throw it in the chat if you'd like. What is a someday goal? A someday goal saying that someday I'm going to do this. Someday. It doesn't, I don't have any plans of doing it right this second. I don't have anything in the work. I envision, and someday I'm going to do that. Does anybody have that on the tip of their tongue? That they would be so vulnerable and share? And you could share it in the chat if you are more comfortable with that. I had a women's empowerment luncheon a few years ago in 22, and that was April of 22, and or 2021. Yes, 21. And by September of 22, what I spoke in 21 happened in September of 22. I really was not joking, but I was like living in this like fake life, right? Someday I'm gonna retire in Aruba. And the whole room laughed. Amen. Somebody's gonna own a home in Germany. What do we got there? Right?
Someday I want to work for those gentlemen out in California that has the $1 million listing.
I think that they would be blessed to have you. I think you should just write them a letter today, right? So I love that you said that. And so we're going to walk it backwards, Renice, to say, what could you do today in this moment that would take a step towards that person working on that team in the future, right? When I said I want to be in Aruba, what would I need to do in 5 years in order to retire there? Well, in my mind, it was like, well, to have the house. And then what would I need to do in 3 years? Well, I would need to have the money. And what would I need to have in 1 year? I would have need to identify where. And what would I need to do in 1 month and 1 day, 1 week and 1 day? And when I identified it, I whittled it down to finding a house that I might like to live in on the KW Aruba site. And fast forward, I wound up working with that agent. I wound up finding the house, and we were able to execute that dream literally within 18 months. And it's a reality now. So I see some here. Someday I'm going to be a well-known broker. Yes, you will be. You already are. You have to step into it. You already are a well-known broker, right? Be, do, have. Be it first. Someday I'm going to retire to Japan. Wow. Japan. And then I did see somebody say New Zealand. Look at all these countries. New Zealand, Japan. There was somebody that's going to own a home in Germany. Retirement, beach home, flipping homes and real estate investments our main source of income. I love that, Christina. It is literally only about 18 months away. 18 months to 36 months away if you work diligently in it. And if anything, 5 years, right? Gary Keller tells you could be anybody you want to in 5 years. Anybody you want to. Now, I want you to think back 2019, right before the pandemic. What a horrible situation, but right before the pandemic, where were you in life? What were you doing? What were you earning? Who were you talking to? Who were your everyday conversations with? And think about the growth. Think about the growth in you as a person. Think about maybe some of the challenges and tribulations you've had that you've overcome to put you on this Zoom today. And think about everything you accomplished in 5 years. And then now think about if you did it purposefully in the next 5 years towards something. Man, you could do anything you want. 5 years is a lot of time. So I would love to take, who was the first one that put theirs in there? The Germany, right? Want to own a home in Germany. Nicole, what do you think you would need to do within 5 years to own a home in Germany in your current situation?
Build my database up, keep connecting with clients, close transactions, have a plan, stick to it.
Okay. So those are the small nitty gritty things, right? I want you to think about in order to own the home in Germany, what will need to happen in your life? Take it away from everything. You're going to own a home in Germany in 5 years. What do you need someday? What does your life need to be like in 5 years in order for that to be possible?
Successful.
Is there a financial measure to that? Like what financial number would you need, right, to buy that home? Where would your success level need to be? So I would challenge you to identify start doing the research to figure out what is it that you would really need. Do you need 400,000? Do you need 200,000? Do you need down payment of 60? We got to figure that out. Way more, $1 million, $2 million. Okay. Yeah. So within 5 years, how much needs to be saved already? And then in 3 years, how much needs to be saved? And what businesses need to be contributing to it? And I believe if she whittles it down, and I'm going to encourage you to do that tonight or tomorrow, and I encourage you within the next 24 hours, take this exercise seriously and go after something that you want in 5 years, in a someday. And I believe that you will whittle down to identifying a house that you would love if you could do it right now with no option, like no money option, no money problem. You could buy it tomorrow. And I believe that the next step would be creating that business, like you just said, to support that goal. Right. So when I say to you, Nicole, is your database bringing the deals that you're expecting it to? Are you filling it? Are you feeding it? Are you communicating with it every day? What it should mean to you is, are you working towards your Germany house? Are you working towards your someday? Because that's what those calls and that database organization should mean to you. It shouldn't mean that your team leader or your coach said you need to make more calls. You need to have 201 in your database. It should mean that you're working towards your goals and dreams. And what I find is agents get lost sometimes in that, and things that really aren't important become important, and you work yourself out of the business or not as successful as you could have been.
I met with an agent today. He has a team, and he said that I need to come up with what's my one thing. the one thing that motivates me. And all he would have to say is, are you doing your one thing? Kind of light a fire under your butt, you know? So that kind of ties into that.
Absolutely. Every day, if you ask yourself, and that's where that one thing website really comes in handy. There's some tricks and tools in there and stuff. The one thing book, the one thing podcast. There's a lot of podcasts you all should be listening to. There's a great podcast by Linda McKissick called Everything Life in Real Estate. And on the investor side, you know, Deal Machine, Bigger Pockets, stuff like that. But there's a Keller, Think Like a CEO, and a One Thing podcast. But in there, it's every day you need to be asking yourself, what's the one thing that absolutely has to happen today? Or the rest of the day can just happen or not happen, but this one thing is literally moving the needle. And it's going to come down to, I got to either talk to somebody, I got to go on an appointment and talk to somebody, right? Or I got to have this closing. It's not going to be, I got to work on the website, I got to do another posting, I have to organize I got to create my templates and it's not going to be that. It's not going to be like, oh, I'm putting together a flyer. It's not going to be that. It might be like, what's the one thing that has to happen today so that everything else becomes unnecessary? Well, today is all about my son. I need to be at his graduation. I need to be at his whatever. Make it about that. If it's business day, it might be, I need to make my 20 contacts today. Otherwise, nothing else happens. So that is my one thing. And stay in that zone and stay committed to that one thing. If something else pops in, you have to ask yourself, did that just replace the one thing? Because I just allowed it to. So you can only say yes and no to certain things, right? You say yes to things, you're saying no to other things. Make a decision as to what you're saying yes and no to. So who'd like to read this one? You probably heard this a couple times. Go ahead, David.
I engage every conversation in the spirit of contribution, and people are happy to be in a relationship with me.
That's right. Is that true? Can you say that? And you should. I'm sure you can. And that's what you're going for. You're going for having engaging conversations with people that are contributing to what they need. Remember, everybody has the what's in it for me sign. Like, come on, what's in it for me? You're talking to me about your business, like, yeah, they're genuinely happy. But how do you leave them with, you know what? Do you have an email or cell phone? I'd love to put you on I have these amazing items of value. I send out this newsletter. I send out a quarterly whatever. I invite people to my event. I do some community work. I'd love for you to be part of my team. And that's a way to invite people into your network, invite people into that database. Because I want to come from contribution. I want to be able to share things with you. Would that be okay if I stayed in touch with you? Would you be great line? Would you be opposed of me staying in touch with you? Would you be opposed if I called you and we spoke about your home that you think you might want to sell? No, I wouldn't be opposed to that. Instead of like, it would be okay, right? Then they might say, well, not really. But you ask somebody, are you opposed to that? They're very rarely going to say no. If you ask them, you're open-minded, right? Yeah, of course I'm open-minded. You're a business person, right? Most people you're sitting at a table with or you're talking to, they're a business person. They own a business. They work for, you work for a business, right? Yeah. All right. So you understand business. Yeah. Right. Well, this is a business. Okay. Engage people. Engage is a good word. When I see people failing, it's that it's about them all the time, and it's not about how can I help you get where you want to go. When you go on a listing appointment or a buyer consultation, and hey, if you're not doing buyer consultations, you better start doing them. I mean, it's one of my favorite things to do. It's one of the easiest things to do with the Zoom too. Like jump on a Zoom at 8 o'clock at night. Let's go over the market. I'll show you some listings. We'll go over the map. We'll look at the data. I'll go over the contract. We won't have to waste time doing that on Saturday when we get together. Right? Now I get to know them. I get to understand them. I get to see where they live. When you get to see where people live, then you can really understand where they're going. Right? When they say, I want a big backyard, and they're coming from a townhouse, a big backyard might be a postage stamp to you if you live on an acre of property. Right? I mean, my friend lives out in the Ozarks. He's from Jersey. He's like, MB, you got to get out here. I got like hundreds of acres and for like 200,000. I'm like, what? For some people, that's too much land. Not me, but for some people, it's too much land. So we got to get to know people. We got to like come from contributions, service all the leads that come our way. And everybody's different. And like we recognize they're not going to need to sell or buy real estate for 7 years. So what are we doing with them in the 7 years? We have to be communicating with them in a systematic way. So this is all the other parts of the class. If you were taking it inside the classroom and doing a 4-hour where we do some real play lead generation, we would update our contacts in our database. You would contact 10, update the 10, put 10 new people in your database, and then you would go ahead, preview 10, right? And you set them up on some follow-up plans. So this would be a time I would ask if you do not mind. I am a KWU instructor, and I would love if you do have your phones to take this out, and if you wouldn't mind, give me a evaluation on this course specifically, which is Ignite session 12. I know that we only have about 40 minutes left for the next session, but we're gonna go get through it. And I really, really appreciate it because Stacy is my boss, and if I don't get my evals in, I might get fired. No, not really, but I do not want to get yelled at. And we have to remember that we do have KW Cares. If you don't know what KW Cares is, please, please, please seek your leadership in your market center. It was developed back when Katrina hit, and it was built for our agents, by our agents, so that our agents would never have to go without grant money from any other organization. So I ask you to just understand how your office collects on KW Cares. You most likely can donate per transaction. And then there's usually a fundraiser at some point. And if you are in need of a grant or there's a natural disaster that happens to your area, you are going to be very grateful that you've been giving to KW Cares. I personally saw when Sandy hit in the New Jersey, New York area, truckloads of generators come in from all areas of the country. Truckloads of water come in, and we were the hub station, my market center. So I saw it in person, live and in person. It is amazing. And it's actually flattering because a lot of other companies have copied us. You know, copying is like the best form of flattery, right? So we're going to roll into the next session. These is your daily success system. Like I said, 10 conversations, 10 contacts added to the database, 10 handwritten notes. Handwritten notes go such a long way. If you think about it, what are you opening when you see your mail? A handwritten note. Everything else goes in the bowl. If the handwritten, we're opening it. Everything else is a bowl for a later date when we're opening up bills. And your 10-5-1 social media engagement, if you're not doing anything else but that, I mean, come on. 10 likes, 5 comments, 1 direct message every day. Does a body good. All right, so we're going to use connect, we're going to use commands, and we are going to go roll right into 13. So before we do that, any ahas about relationship building? We started with Ford. We talked about 6 questions. We talked about MOFers, creating a 36 touch plan. I really encourage it to be very personal to you. Guys, you could say, look, I work on the PTO and I have a couple little ones, and like that's where I spend most of my time. And I go to the gym. I can tell you, you can create a $500,000 business in a couple of years. Those are the best lists possible. I mean, you do what you love, you're with your kids, you're involved in the schools, you're showing up as a leader, I'm sure, at all these things, you're organizing, you have everybody's data, and you just get everybody's approval for you to put them in the database, right? Amy, you wanted to share a bit?
Yeah, it actually, I really needed this because we've been learning a lot of things, not just here, but, you know, in the daytime, other times, and it's a lot of information. It's all useful, but it's been difficult for me to make it more of a realistic situation, a realistic goal. Yeah, and you really made it much easier for us. Like I really needed to hear you talk that out for some reason.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. I tend to talk a lot, but lots of stories, lots of people say, how do you get confident with certain things? It's through the experience. I personally have launched 8 different market centers and had to learn different markets and different people. And what I could tell you is this book is timeless, is marketless, is there's models and systems that are set up, and it just works. And I promise you, if you show up as you inside your database and you build it because they're people that you like, people that you want to talk to, then you will build a great business. On top of that, I really encourage you. My business was built a lot on open houses and other people's opportunities, taking people's listings. And back in the day, we didn't have Facebook. We had flyer boxes that you would put out on the properties. So I'd ask, hey, can I put a flyer box of my stuff at your listing? And somebody didn't want to market that neighborhood. Yeah, go ahead, Mary Beth. So I was like that kid Mikey. Give it to Mikey. He likes it. And rentals, guys, you know, people, you can help people with rentals. It may not be a lot of money in the rental business. Some markets, I've seen agents make a whole business out of rentals. And then I would tell you, leave it as a rental division inside of your business, right? You do residential and you do rentals, right? But those rentals turn into first-time home buyers. And those rentals also have family that are buying, selling, investing in real estate. So let's really look at everybody, change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. All right, let's roll into this one and qualifying potential buyers and sellers. This is a little simple because at this point, I feel like you've built the rapport, right? You've already built rapport. You know who they are. You know why they want to do it. So some of this might feel redundant if you were to go in deep questioning. But it also should feel like we were just reiterating what we talked about the 15 times we talked before we actually got on an appointment. So this one is qualifying potential buyers and sellers. We are going to find the motivated. We're going to look at classifying by the ready, able, and willing category. And I would encourage you to tag your people because 30-day out people are not as urgent as, 12-month out people are not as urgent as 30-day out people. And we'll talk a little bit about that. Qualify your buyers and sellers, and then we'll recap. So who's going to read this one? It's the truth. All right, go for it, Nicole.
Your number one job as a real estate agent is to find ways to get in the path of motivated buyers and sellers.
That's right. Home Depot, open houses. Listen, Home Depot is another strategy. If anybody goes through bold, you'll understand what I mean. We have to do 100 contacts in one day. Now, 100 contacts in one day. How are you going to do that? You have to have some strategies. You can't just be calling the phone because guess how many people answer the phone? Not everybody, but they do answer the phone. So don't go, well, nobody answers the phone nowadays. That's just an excuse. And you can have reasons or results and you can't have both. So when you have to have 100 contacts in a day, and I promise you 20 is a healthy business, 20 a day, 5 days a week, healthy business. But if you do that 100 once a month, just for fun, just to get crazy, the amount of business that you will create. So some of our agents would have a call in where you call in, you send it out to your database. You call in from 12 to 4 on this day, and you answer these 3 questions, which is you getting the data that you need for your database. What's your birthday? What's your email? What's your address? And you get entered into a drawing. I don't know. That's worth $100 to me. Get an Amex card and give away $100. And they're calling you to get a chance at this Amex or whatever it might be, or dinner for 2 at a really fancy restaurant that you just happen to know the owner and he's willing to give you half price on the, dinner. So that's a way to generate those. But Home Depot, if you think about it, who goes to Home Depot at 6, 7 o'clock in the morning? Contractors. Saturday morning, homeowners getting ready to either do an extension or fix the house because they're going to sell it. So you put yourself in that path and you have, what would you need? An investment. Hey, here's my 5 best investments in town this weekend. Here's my 1 best investment. Hey, here's my off-market property. Hey, here's the 3 houses that sold in the neighborhood right around here. Right? Do you want print 100 flyers, hand them out. 100 contacts. Did you get their information? Not necessarily, but maybe 5 or 6 called you. Maybe you talked to 10 and you got their information. So finding a way to get in the path of buyers and sellers in a market like today, you have to get creative. You have to get creative. Different seminars, different teaming up with different networking groups. And right now with the high interest rates, team up with a mortgage lender, and teach people about the grants that are out there, the government grants that are out there, the different buy down products that are out there for them to get into a mortgage today. There are so many opportunities. So as we dive into this, really take that seriously. How can I get into the path of the motivated? And not just a few, like many, because they're all not going to choose you. And they're all not going to need you when you're ready. You're not going to be there when they're ready. So you want them to be in your cycle where you're constantly earning their mind share. So dispelling the misunderstandings, what myths do you hold about finding buyers? Right? At this point in the game in Ignite, I don't find that you should have many myths about it. I mean, they're out there. We just talked about a bunch of different opportunities, right? Open houses. I was watering my flowers and the guy starts talking about my neighbor. Nowadays, buyers are very savvy also. They see what's out there, so they know the information. You finding buyers and sellers. Let's talk about sellers. Where are some ways that you find sellers? You want to just shout it out, or you want to put it in the chat? If you want to unmute, go ahead. But where do you find your sellers in your market? So for sell by owners, right? For sell by owners, they're raising their hand saying, I would like to sell. What do they want to do? Not pay commission. Know the objection. You have expired listings. What are they saying? Hey, I tried you. You didn't do your job. So they have lost faith in realtors. So you have to come in knowing that that's their biggest thing. They were willing to pay. They didn't get the job done. Most likely because they're not priced properly in today's market. And you're not going to tell them that they're wrong. Then you lost the listing, period. Right? Withdrawns, old expireds. You go a few years back, that was a dream. Somebody dreamt that they could sell their house for $1 million. And guess what? Today they can. So you call those old expireds and you say, hey, are you still interested in selling your home? I noticed that your home was on the market like 3 years ago, came off the market. You still interested in selling for $1 million? If I had a qualified buyer for $1 million, would you consider selling? Would you be opposed to me coming over if I had a qualified buyer? Right? So there are sellers all over, expires, withdrawns, for sale by owners. You know where else? In your database. Empty nesters, people that are looking to downsize, people that are having babies, people that are getting married, selling 2 condos to buy 1. Don't sell the condos, keep the condos, cash flow, right? Why would you as the agent tell them that? You could have 3 commissions because you care and you want them to list with you when they have to, and you want them to buy other investment properties with you, and you want them to rave about you that you told them to keep their houses and not make the commission. Oh my gosh, she's amazing. He's amazing. They weren't trying to get the commission. No, I'm trying to help you build wealth through real estate, right? Because that's what we really should be doing with our databases. I'm helping you to build wealth through real estate. Don't sell that. Only sell it if you have to. So what myths do you hold about finding buyers and sellers? You shouldn't have too many. They're all out there. You just need to go find them. Right? And so here's how buyers found their agent. 41%, and this is a little bit outdated, maybe a couple years old, but it seems to be the same numbers for all of my career, right? Referrals from friends, neighbors, relatives, 47%. Number 2, used an agent previously. That is all word of mouth and our marketing and our testimony and our reviews and our optics. That has nothing to do with, did we pay for an ad? Is our website, look, nothing. Okay. So you could argue with these 2, referral from another agent, was that built up in here, whatever, but you can see that most of your business, when they're looking at buyers, how they found their agent. So are you doing these 2 things? Are you available to your friends, family, and relatives? Do they know that you're looking for business? Or do they think that your company just gives you business? Because that was a misconception. Oh, I thought you're just so busy. I didn't want to bother you. Please bother me, please. You have to teach them. Here's how we get business. We don't just get it. We have to actually go earn it. So, Mrs. Friend, I have to earn the business. You trust me, don't you? You'd refer me, right? So if you'd refer me, I'd love to know, who should I know that you know? Those are the kinds of prospecting you need to do through your database so that you can gain these types of referrals. Agent used previously. Do you see that number? Do you see that number? 13%. Guys, 13% of our last client chose us again. You know how many say want to choose us? 90%, 89%. They want to choose us. They say, yeah, I'll choose my agent. Then you say, okay, how many actually do? 13%. You want to know why? We don't stay in touch with them. They're like, I don't know. She was a really nice girl. It was like a red company, brown hair. I don't know. You're good enough. All right, David, come on over. Right? Like that's what happens because we don't stay in touch. They said they want us. We don't stay in touch. So please take this as a lesson. The minute you close on a transaction, even if it's a baby little deal, it's a rental, put them in your database now as a closed transaction. Tag them as VIP closed transaction. Treat them differently. Let them know you've experienced me. I want to make sure you never forget that we had a great transaction. And I want to always be there for you. Post-close, and that is one of our sessions. Post-close is so important. And it will go to giving them your favorite pizzeria and your favorite painter and your favorite, how do you, what time day do I not go down this road because the buses are insane? Like those are the things post-close you still do. Okay. All right, that's the buyers. And so the sellers aren't really much different. Even more of them are coming through referrals and people they know. Because think about it, you got to come over and you're going to be in my house, in my finances. You're going to know how much money I make from my house. Like, I don't want any stranger walking. Most people aren't used to the stranger aspect, but you're a friend of a friend or somebody used you before. Okay, now I'm a little more open. So think about that. Are you the choice for these people to say, oh, you know what, my friend Katie, she's really amazing. She's a good listener. And guys, make sure you say you're a good listener. And if you're not a good listener, start listening because that's what they're asking for. They're asking for us to be good communicators. They're asking for us to get back to them, to call them when we said we were going to call them, to be there when we said we were going to be there. Not 15 minutes late. I teach a lot of classes and it doesn't matter where it is. I mean, right now it's a lot of East Coast, but Massachusetts, Florida, New York, New Jersey, 15 minutes realtors come walking in. The room isn't packed until 15 minutes. If you've ever worked for corporate America, being on time is being 5 minutes early. If you're 9 o'clock and you're sitting there at 9 o'clock, you're late. You're like, now you're frazzled. You're not ready to work at 9 o'clock. And real estate is different in that we have the ability to set our own schedule, but real estate is different that we have the ability to set our own schedule. And that's dangerous for some of us. Like, oh my gosh, I took that one last phone call. Now I'm late. I'm running late. I'm my own boss. I don't care. Guess who cares? The girl who opens the door, who's a high C behavior, and you were supposed to be there at 7 and her baby's going to bed at 7:35. So now it's 7:15 and this is not happening. You're out. So we have to think about how we show up. And honestly, it doesn't matter what behavior, what personality style. When people want to talk about their house, their needs, and you say you're going to be there at a certain time, whether it's a Zoom, a phone call, or an appointment, they're expecting you, they're excited, they're ready. You showing up late shows them it's not important. And to you, you're like, no, it was important. Well, it really wasn't, because if it was, you would have been here on time. Now, when I was younger, my mother used to always say to me, how could you never get to church on time? If you were going to go on a trip and I told you had to be at the airport in 10 minutes, I'm sure you'd figure out how to get there, right? So it shows up. And, I'll say this, and this has nothing to do with this session. I'm just going to go back in, is if you look at your bank account, you'll see what's important to you also. Okay. Start looking at our priorities. We want things. And then when we look at what we actually are doing, we could have a reality check and then we can make changes and we can get on the good foot, right? So somebody needs to hear that, I think. I don't know. So command opportunities. This is the next step. when somebody says they want to buy or sell, one of your contacts is in your database and you have a conversation with them about potentially selling in the fall. Create an opportunity. You met a buyer at an open house and you're not sure if they're going to work with you, but they said they need to buy something like in the next 6 weeks. Put them in the database, create a buyer opportunity. Do not create the opportunity when you have a contract. Create the opportunity so you could watch, you cultivate the opportunity, you have the appointment. Now they're active, you're out there showing houses, their listing is live. Next stage, they go under contract. If you use this system properly and you put the people into the database, this system has AI in it and it will start to act smart and tell you what the potential of your database is. It will tell you how many appointments you should cultivate out of the people that you're just talking to in your database with your smart plans running. So I'm just encouraging you to go ahead and when you have a lead to contact and contact becomes, hey, they might, that's going to go in my pipeline. This is your active pipeline. So as a team leader, we would always, we're looking to meet with talent all the time, right? 10 appointments a week. 10 to 12 appointments a week with agents who are not with us, who are maybe considering Keller Williams. Sometimes I have to go shopping in my pipeline. I have to go like, let's look at some appointments that I've had. They haven't made a move. They didn't make a decision. And I say, go shopping in your pipeline. So if I say to you, and I'm your coach or your team leader, go shopping in your pipeline, guys. You're dry, go shopping in your pipeline. If you had cultivate bucket, I'd tell you, go right there. If you had appointment buckets, I tell you go right there. Those people met with you and they didn't sign yet. Those people told you they had a dream and you didn't get them to have an appointment or sign yet. They're way closer than the other people that you don't know yet, or that are in the database and haven't expressed, hey, I need something. So if you organize this properly as a younger agent in the business, I would tell you that is setting up your pipeline properly. It will help you lead generate regularly. And don't ask me about the tech because not good. I know what I want it to do and it can do many things, but having somebody to leverage and knowing your strengths and your weaknesses is also part of, being in business for yourself. And so for some people, and I've had agents who are not tech savvy, not because of age, more because of experience. Like, what did they grow up at? What are they used to? How do they? And if they can't, but their gift of gab and they'll go out and meet anybody and everybody, I will tell that person, put an assistant in place. For 15 or 20,000, you could have a part-time assistant that will do all of this. And what is that worth? 1 or 2 transactions? Have them help leverage you so that you can go out and do those deals. So also, as you build your business, in the beginning years, guys, you got to do everything because you got to touch it all. You got to know what you want from your business. But as you start to get busy, as you put 15, 12 deals under your belt in one given year, you've earned the right to bring on some leverage, because then you have to start thinking, where's my dollar per hour? Where is my best use? And it may not be in putting contacts into command. It may be in talking to those people and somebody else putting them in. So, all right. So classify by able, ready, willing, and able. Focus becomes increasingly possible in direct proportion to how clear you are about what you want, when you want, and what you must do to get it. And when you focus, laser focus. I saw a session you had the other day where you're talking about 5 pennies. When I used to call for sellers all the time, 5 pennies was my coach also. You put 5 pennies in front of you, ask for the order, ask for the order, ask for the order. And what does that sound like? Well, is there a good time for us to get together, Bernardo? Oh, how about Saturday? Maybe Saturday I'll be in the neighborhood. I could swing by. I have an equity analysis done on your home. Yeah, I had this other girl. Well, how about this? Would you be opposed if on Monday night when I'm doing an open house, I swing and I'm asking and I'm asking and I'm asking? I am focused. I have a better chance at getting that appointment. So that penny would keep me focused on what my goal was. What keeps you focused? Right? If you're in lead generation time, do you have hashtags on the wall that you're knocking off? Do you have pennies that, hey, I got to make this amount of contacts? Play a game with yourself, but get focused, because you being focused is absolutely going to increase your potential for success. So ready, willing, and able come from curiosity. What is it? What's stopping them from being able to buy or being able to sell? And so when we think about A, B, C buyers, categorizing your buyers, you may say, oh, I categorize them hot, warm, cold. I do A, B, C. I do 30-day, 60-day, 2-year. It doesn't matter. You organize your closet how you want, but organize it so that when you need to go get the black dress, you know where the black dress is. And that's every dress for me, right? Anyway, so you got to organize it so that if I said to you, hey, Ryan, go ahead and send this to your hot buyers, send this to your A buyers, because listen, your C buyers that are not buying for a while, they're not going to act on this, but this is for your A buyers. The messages can be different, and yet you can also have these generic that go out to the same. Now, if I said to you, you got to put some focus and make some phone calls and take some appointments this weekend, and you have a few people in each category, where are you going to spend your time? Category A. They're the low-hanging fruit inside of your database. And I'm not saying you don't service B and C, right? So what is B and C? B and C, and for some people, I would say 15 to 60 days is no. My A is they got to move in the next month. They're moving in the next 30 days. They got to find something. They got to secure something in the next 30 days. That's my A buyer. And so that's why I say you can kind of customize this a little. My B buyer is somebody that's going to buy in this season. It may actually fall into the next season. They say they're going to buy this summer. Maybe they wind up buying in the fall, but they're buying within the next 6 months. And then a C buyer is somebody who's expressed that they are buying. They have some conditions that they are not really ready, willing, or able. One of those things is not matching up right now. And they're going to buy, let's say in a year, 2 years, 3 years. They're going to be on a little bit slower of a pace of marketing and me needing to talk to them. But my A buyer who has to literally get something in the next 30 days, they're on my phone every single day. They're like, hey, did you see anything today? Hey, did you see those listings? Oh, I'm going to preview this. Want me to go writing an offer on this? Did you like that? You don't like that? Okay. Like that, it's a constant conversation if they're in A. If they're in B, I don't want to lose their business. So I better be sending them listings. I better be sending them items of value. Maybe I'm also having some consults with my resources, like a mortgage consult. Like maybe they're talking to our title business or title company. They're talking to attorneys so they could pick one. And on the seller side, if they're an A seller, guys, don't sleep on an A seller. Don't go, oh, they're going to list in 2 weeks. No, they're not. They're gonna get bamboozled this weekend when they're throwing out all their stuff on the curb. And the top agent in that market is gonna come and go, hey, I know your list. And then before you know it, they didn't sign with you next week because the listing's already live on Monday. Don't let that happen to you. If they are a hot seller, I can come over tonight. How about tomorrow morning? Don't let it go a whole week, because then they talk themselves out of it. And look, if they're going to talk themselves out of it, that's fine. But hey, you got an appointment and you got face to face in front of them. Remember the other slide I showed you? How many people are they going to interview if they're looking for a seller agent, a buyer's agent? 74 and 75 are going to do one. That's right, Nicole, one. So you be that person that they met in the heat of the moment and they said, yeah, okay, you know what, Ryan, come over. And then even after Ryan left, they were like, he's a really nice guy. He had a lot to say, but we're not really ready. Ryan follows up with them because that's a big part of our business. And he says, you know what? I'm going to put you on a 6-month plan. And then we'll get together in a month or two and see where you're at. The seller who's like, oh, I need that painter because we're going to get this painted. I want to be on. No, every single day you're dropping off something, an item of value. Oh, here's the seller's disclosure. Oh, here's what a lockbox looks like. I have one of these. Yep, it's in my car. Here's our sign. I mean, here's the township information. Here's the inspection information. Here's the, I can paint too. Good job, Ryan. I'll paint, I'll flower. If you're going to give me that listing right now, let's go. Here's the mums, right? Bring over some mums. I just brought you a little gift. Oh, it looks so beautiful. Let's list it now. Let's do a coming soon. Right? So here says, yes, I met Dan yesterday. I was blown away. I asked him how I get in this sooner. He said, join a team. Okay. And I just want to make sure I'm reading everything. Something I missed like half of your, okay. So we'll talk about that later. Okay. And I can paint too. All right. So categorizing your A, B, and C buyers and sellers is extremely important, and you having your own rule. I would tell you guys also, just have your own rule in your cell phone too. You should have commands. You need to have your commands app open. Saving the people inside of commands and your phone at the same time is a great strategy. But if you're not that savvy or your command isn't, save them in your phone. And this is an old school. I had a flip phone when I started. Then a BlackBerry. B. Nicole, last name Chartier. Okay. B. Nicole means she's a buyer. That's how simple. S. Nicole would mean she's a seller. So when I was at open houses, when I was meeting people, I was bored. I had to lead generate. I would just go right through my B's. I'd be texting them happy birthday. Happy Mother's Day. It was a simple way because we didn't have command to organize all of this. But I will tell you that in your phone, as those leads come across, an easy way is, the company, but put a little tag there so that when you go ahead and transfer them into commands, you've already thought through how you're going to categorize them. Okay, any questions on A, B, and C? You really have to make up your own rules on that. Okay, and then qualifying buyers and sellers. Look, there's a document. Follow a checklist, abide by fair housing regulations. It's very important that you read that general memorandum to your buyers, to your sellers. You let them know how you can work. Consumer information statement, the agency disclosure. You disclose what you need to in that first meeting. But I want you to think about something. When you've gone to the doctor's office or you went to an attorney to have an initial consultation, did some people bring out a clipboard, write down some notes, ask you how much you weighed, what's your height, ask you questions, and they're writing it on a chart because they're going to turn that chart over right to the doctor. They're going to put it into the database. That is you. You're an entrepreneur that needs that data. You're going to put it into the database. But there's also nothing wrong with you going to a listing appointment and saying, do you mind if I ask you a couple questions? I have it right here. It's okay for you to show that to them. And I'm not saying you put it in their face, but there's nothing wrong with you taking notes because you need that in the beginning to guide you through a qualifying questionnaire. And so there is a document, and I encourage you to use it. Can somebody just, because I'd love to just play a little bit with this, and would somebody be willing to just come off mute and be the buyer, and I'll just showcase a little bit of what this buyer conversation sounds like? You're not going to have to really say much. You might have to answer a couple things that are pretty simple.
I'll be happy to do it, Mary Beth. This is Beth.
Okay. Thank you, Beth. So at this point here, I've already set this appointment. I've already spoken to them. We're going to go through some questions because we're going to go and take Beth and her family out, or Beth, we're just going to find out some information. So I ring because I want to give her a call before we're going to go ahead and meet. And I say, hey, Beth, it's Mary Beth. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. Thanks for calling.
And
appreciate you
remember,
following up with me.
Oh, you're so welcome. And how's little Janie doing?
Oh, she's a sweet little kitty cat. We go for walks every night.
Oh, she was just so cute on that Zoom the other day when we were there. And I just make sure, Beth, this is the best way to reach you on the cell phone.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And is this the best time, like after work, or is there a better time to reach you?
Yeah, I'd say anywhere between 7 and 8 p.m. in the evening is the best time.
Okay, fantastic. All right. So I just wanted to go through a couple of questions before we get into the deep of our consult. If that's all right with you. Do you have just a few minutes?
Sure.
Fantastic. So has there been another agent that's taken you out to show you any properties, like physically, yet?
No, I haven't talked to any other agents yet.
Okay. And is anybody else buying a home with you?
Nope, it'll just be me.
Okay. All right. Girl power. And so who will be living in your home?
Me and
Like,
little
do you,
Janie.
oh,
Just me and little
okay.
Janie.
Just you and little Janie. Okay, perfect.
My
And
parents will visit, but they don't need it. They don't need separate space.
okay, so we will need a second bedroom space though for that.
Probably a third. Yeah, Janie needs her own special
Okay.
space, me, and then my parents for a guest room.
Okay. Okay, fantastic. And so how long have you been looking for a home, Beth?
Oh, I've been thinking about it for about a year and a half, but I just started really looking at the online listings about 6 months ago.
And if you don't mind me asking, like, why are you moving?
Oh, I think it's just a time for a little bit more space, maybe some more modernized space. My current house is very small, so storage can be challenging. It's a single car garage. I just like to be able
Okay.
to spread out a little bit.
Okay, so it sounds like space is really important to you. And repeating back, right? It sounds like space is really important to you. And a garage, you're saying, right? Definitely a
Yeah,
garage,
larger garage. Yeah, my current
larger
one's a
garage.
single car. Yep,
Okay,
little
okay.
tight.
And in that home that you're with the garage, are you renting it or do you own it?
I own it.
You own it. Okay. And will you need to sell that property before we buy the next home?
I do think I'll need to sell this one before I buy, correct?
Okay. Would you be open to having a conversation with one of our financial partners to just talk about some of the options there?
Sure, I haven't talked to any lenders yet at all, so that would be
Okay.
helpful.
Will you be needing a mortgage for that property or will you be paying cash for the property
It
once you sell
depends on
this
what
house?
if I sell this one, depends on what my final proceeds are, I think.
Okay. All right. So the net proceeds are absolutely going to matter in there. Okay. And with the mortgage, you have not been approved because you said you haven't talked to a lender yet.
That's right. Yep.
And I'll go ahead and send Brianna over to you to talk to you. Have you thought about what your down payment would be?
I'd go at least 20%. I want to avoid mortgage insurance.
Okay,
And then
great.
it'll depend, I'd like to put more depending on what the final what it
Mhm.
looks like financially with the sale of my current home.
Okay. And I love that you know about the mortgage insurance because yes, if you do not put 20% down, you will incur mortgage insurance. Um, Fortunately, when the property, appreciates in value, you can remove the mortgage insurance. But putting 20% will not, you won't have mortgage insurance.
Yeah.
And so have you thought about what price point you're comfortable with?
Probably between 7 and 900.
Okay. And would anybody else need to come along for the showings and be involved in the home buying decision?
Not in the decision, but I might bring a friend
Okay, fair
just
enough.
for second
Fair.
opinions. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. You're welcome to bring anybody. We have a good time showing houses. So, on a scale from 1 to 10, meaning that you must buy a home as quickly as possible, and one meaning that you're not sure that you're really ready to buy anything, how would you rate yourself today, Beth?
Oh, probably a 5. I'm right in the middle. So I've been looking. I'm getting excited about the idea, but I don't have any urgency in making that transition yet.
Okay, would there be anything that might create that urgency and make it a 10?
If we find a perfect house.
I like that answer. Okay, so when do you need to be in your new home? I know it's not urgent, but when would you like to be in your new home?
I'd like to be in before the holidays.
Okay. The holidays being Thanksgiving or like the end of the year holidays, Christmas,
Probably
Hanukkah, Kwanzaa.
Thanksgiving. Probably gets a
Okay.
little tough after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
If we're not
Okay.
in by Thanksgiving, probably looking more like March. I don't want to house hunt during the winter, and I think the inventory will be pretty low.
Yeah, it typically is. However, we do find some really great deals during that time. And we can talk about that when we get on our consultation timing of buying. So if it's okay, Beth, I didn't want to take any more time. I'd love to help you with the home buying. In order to help find you the perfect home, all we're going to need to do is set that appointment. And I think we had kind of penned it in for Tuesday at 7. So what time is better, 7 that day or is 8:15 better?
Probably 7 that day.
Okay, so 7 that day. Well, then I will see you at 7 at this place with this. And it was great talking to you. Thank you for taking this time.
Thank you, Mary Beth. See you soon.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Now, thank you. Thank you so much for playing with me. That absolutely sounded like your everyday. Yep. Let's give her a round of applause. Give her some love. Here's some like Got some quiet folks, and then I got a rowdy first row. Okay.
Whoop, whoop, whoop,
Thank
whoop,
you.
whoop.
There you go, Dana.
Yeah,
So the that conversation is very normal, and you saw how I just followed along with the words. If I was on a phone and you weren't watching my face, you wouldn't know that I was even reading. If you internalize some of that and regurgitate it, that is your simple consultation to then now we're going to get together and we're going to go over the contract and we're going to go over the different listings that she likes. We're going to go over process. I'm going to bring my mortgage broker on, and we're going to have a great time showing houses. Right. So that should not be that scary. And when you're using these tools that you have, like the buyer questionnaire or the seller questionnaire, it should be that simple just to follow along. So we're not going to role play because we really don't have time for that. But even with the qualifying sellers, it is going to be the same strategy, right? And some of these questions you may be uncomfortable asking. How did you hear about me? Like what's motivating you? Get comfortable with it. Role play it with yourself. Tape yourself, video yourself asking these questions. Record yourself. Get comfortable with the question after the question. Oh, if they say no, I'm not going to ask them the next question. What's the follow-up? But here is what would happen if the home did not sell? How much did you want to list your home for? And this is a pre-qualifying questionnaire. So if somebody tells you, yeah, you know what, Caselli, why don't you come over on Saturday? I think I might want to sell my house. And she's like, yeah, I'm running over going. Now, there's times where I will tell you, if you have nothing going on and you can go see some inventory and have some dialogue, go for it. But when you have a schedule where there's some other people that are important to you that you might have to, I'm going to ask these questions. I'm going to make sure we're qualifying the seller. And if the seller is not ready, I'm going to say, listen, we could put you on a plan. How about we meet? Let's schedule it for August 15th because it looks like you're a fall baby. Looks like we're not going to be ready till the end of the year. So let's not meet now because the market today is not what it's going to be, in the fall. Promise them that. And you can promise them that. So that seller questionnaire is there for you as well. And then your touch plans, just reiterating, because we're closing this out, is once you have these people in your database, now you have these conversations, guess what? They might still not list. So are they getting your 4 calls? Are they getting your nurture? Are they getting something in the mailbox? Did they get a handwritten Thanksgiving card? Those are one of the easiest cards. Happy Thanksgiving. Grateful for you. Grateful for you. Grateful for you. Grateful for you. Put 3 business cards in it. It's a handwritten card. Go to the dollar store now. Go on some Amazon and find a real cheap Thanksgiving after the holidays. Buy the cheap cards, right? It's 50% off. Keep them because it's going to happen next year. I promise. So, I'm going to ask you, Ken, if you wouldn't mind, you can go ahead, and this is for the 13th session. If you wouldn't mind going ahead and giving a review. And before we get out of here with just no minutes left, I want at least 2 ahas. 2 ahas on, go ahead, relationships and buyers and sellers. Go ahead. Go ahead. I didn't get the QR code. Okay, no problem. Get me 2 ahas. Who's got an aha? Let's go ahead and share. Can't just walk out of here, and it can't be some entertainment here.
I like the questionnaire that you send out before the seller's consultation, before the listing consultation.
That's right. It kind of sets the lingo, it kind of sets the tone for what we're going to be discussing, right? We're not coming over to be best friends. We're not coming over, me too, me too. It's, here's the questions I'm asking you because we're going to be talking about some of this stuff at the table so that I can help you get the best price with the least amount of hassle and the quickest amount of time. Or I'm going to help you meet and exceed your needs. And if I don't know what you need or what you're looking for, I can't help you get there. So these questions are ultimately helping me service you best. And if you, the other thing is, when you get confident you're sitting at a listing table, there is a chance that you're not going to take that listing. And so pre-qualifying that seller is going to help you, pre-qualify that appointment before you even go on it. And it may just give you insight that you're going on an appointment that you may not meet or exceed that client's expectations. They may not be a fit for you. And that could happen. And by asking those questions, you'll know why you're not in alignment. All right. One other aha for the session on strengthening relationships and using our buyer and seller. Go ahead, Nicole.
I didn't know that that agents would use one, or people would use one agent, buyers and sellers. They would talk to
Right.
one. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. It's not really, you know where the competition is happening? Right here in the 6-inch market, right? It's the head. We psych ourselves out that there's all this other competition that we're going against. And the reality is they're only talking to us, or they've only ever had one conversation about real estate with us, but we didn't put them in the database and we didn't stay in touch with them. They thought we were so intelligent. They wanted to talk more to us, but they didn't know how to get in touch with us. Don't do that. All right, guys, I want to thank you so much. I appreciate you. It's exciting teaching West Coast. I hope to come back. Once again, my name is Mary Beth Olive, and if you would like to, I have some classes that I also teach. If you'd like to see more of me, reach out to me, and I will absolutely invite you to some things that we have going on. You guys have an awesome rest of Ignite. I encourage you, stay focused, and honestly, you really can accomplish anything you set your heart out to. So just make the plan and do it. Find your tribe. All right. Bye, guys.
Thanks,
Thank
Mary Beth. Have a good
you.
night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.